All right. All right. Sending data.
Switching this over.
All right, save the streaming.
See us? See us. All right. I think we sound pretty good.
See. Ooh. Me.
For a second, I thought you were doing Truly Madly Deeply
No.
by Savage Garden.
No. This is Static X.
Okay.
Push it.
Not to be confused with Static Shock. Oh, well.
Well.
So, all the notifications have been sent out.
All right.
Pre-show topic for you today is... So normally what I do is I find a Den of the Drake or Crit Crab video, and I let them tell the story while I'm working on something else. But I found one today on RPG Horror Story, and I was like, we gotta talk about that. Enjoy your dinner, sir. So, the story is about a guy that was so afraid of his character dying that he would flee combat and leave the rest of the party to die anytime his character got really badly hurt.
You did that consistently?
Consistent.
Okay. As long as it was consistent.
And that was, a lot of people were like, hey, you know, this guy shouldn't be doing this. I was like, well, no, he's made it really clear. This is what his character's going to do.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Is it a liability to the party? Sort of, but they know going into the fight that's going to happen. Yeah. Slow down, Will. But a lot of the comments were people being like, I just don't understand why they'd be so afraid their character's going to die. And it's like, well, I get that, because I'm the sort of person that, like, hey, if my character dies, he dies. You know, I'm not going to... There are times where I probably should do more to try and prevent the death of my character than I do.
Yeah.
But I 100% just, at this point, if my character dies, he dies, because a lot of my characters have died over the years. But I guess there absolutely are people that are like, hey, I've never had a character die. If my character dies, it's the end of the world.
Well, also,
You know.
maybe, is it their first character?
They didn't say.
If they, if they never had a character before, this may be a big deal to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question to you for the topic is, how do you think players should handle character death? Because we've talked a lot about how GMs should handle character death. How do you think players should handle character death?
I don't know. On some level, you've got to kind of accept it. Everything,
Mm-hmm.
It could be unfortunate. It could be bad.
That's fair.
Bad roles. It could, or it could be just straight up that you didn't have what it takes to survive the encounter. Maybe
Right.
you shouldn't have even been. You should have avoided that encounter.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. I don't know. This, it's kind of harsh to say, get over it,
Right.
make a new character. But, for a lot of people, they put a lot into who their character is. They build up this idealized person, being
Yeah.
that they obviously care a lot about. But I think for a lot of people, I think that people that have the biggest problem with character death are the people that think they're the main character.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a big difference between, hey, I really like my character, I don't want him to die, and if my character dies, I'm quitting the game.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we see a lot more of the second in most of the horror stories where it comes up
Yeah.
than we do the first. Because I don't think anybody, reasonably should be upset at somebody else at the table that is sad or frustrated their character died.
Yeah.
But somebody that rage quits because their character died, well then, that's a different matter.
Right.
You came to a game where you knew death was a possibility,
Yeah.
and now you're going to get up and take your toys with you because...
Well, if you're all up, if everybody's at first level, it's kind of like oh well,
Yeah.
bad. But I understand, if you're all at 15th level and been going for a while, it's probably is going to be pretty rough.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You got to go into it knowing that it could happen. Because otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
If you're fighting a dragon and there's no chance anybody's going to die, then why are you even fighting the dragon?
Yeah.
just, hey, yeah, you beat the dragon and you collect this loot and you go,
Yeah.
So. But yeah, there's been some character deaths that have hit me really hard, I'm sure there have been for you as well. I've said it many times, one of my favorite characters I ever played was Fukjas, the Tiefling Barbarian that was a complete idiot because we rolled for stats and I rolled really poorly for intelligence. I had a 6.
Yeah.
And he died holding the door for the party. And the rest of the party left, and one of the guys at the table was like, hey man, I feel kind of bad because we talked your character into doing that for us. Like, that doesn't sit right with me because your guy was kind of dumb. I was like, no, Fujas was glad to die for his family.
Yeah.
Like, don't misunderstand. Am I a little choked up now that he's gone? Yes. But that was something he was glad to get the chance to do to protect his family. So, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting because I saw a lot of people that were upset with this person for having their character run away when they were going to die. It's like, well, no, I get why you're frustrated because you're looking at it as a game.
Yeah.
They're looking at it as I'm about to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
Alright?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just hot.
I got the air conditioner on high.
Yeah.
Best I can do.
It's going. It's not, you've done everything you can.
Yeah.
It's just hot.
It's not getting cool once the sun goes down.
We're almost there. But, all right. Well, you ready to get started then?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum TTRPG podcast. My name is Trey.
I am wrong, Red.
And we got some stuff to talk about tonight. I don't have any news for you again.
Okay.
There's a little bit of D&D news, but I kind of don't care. But, they're doing some stuff in Phandalin again.
Yeah.
So, sure.
Okay.
But,
Back to the drawing board, I guess.
yeah, let's go back to step 1. See if we can grab people again. But there is a lot of talk in the Pathfinder community about a third-party class that was made by somebody called the Hematurgist.
Okay.
It's basically Blood Hunter, right?
Yeah.
But it's a caster.
Yeah.
And it's really well done, but it is still just third party. So I understand why people are excited about it, but I also wouldn't blame any GM that was like, no, let's not put any homebrew classes in here, okay?
Right.
So there's some stuff there, but nothing to really, take up a bunch of the show about. So we're talking Rome.
Yes.
Roma.
Yeah. I got a feeling that Roman mythology is inextricably tied in with Greek mythology. The gods pretty much line up one for one. And a lot of the stories are the same. Now, what's interesting about Roman mythology is I can go down to 2 writers, Ovid and Virgil, and go, yeah, a lot of the stuff we know is because of things they wrote. Now, I'll talk about some of the classic myths here in a little bit.
I remember Virgil. That's the guy from Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, a lot of Italians in Hill.
Yep. That is just spoilers, I guess, for Dante's Inferno, an incredibly old book. But right towards the end, when he's like, Virgil, you can come with me, right? And Virgil's like, no, I'm still Italian.
Yeah.
Like, I still have to stay in hell. It's like, come on.
It was like everybody, I knew him. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else you knew.
What a jerk move to pull the guy who's been helping you the whole time.
No, the two others you go on Purgatorio and Paradisimo, or Purgatory and Paradise.
Yeah.
That.
Great reads.
Yeah, and then none of them have. It's like I think Inferno has like the biggest impact.
Yeah.
It's I think it's his most complete. As far as storytelling goes and everything, and we put what's in there. Purgatorio is kind of strange.
Yeah. It's a weird book.
Just because of the setting. It's obviously Purgatory, not neither heaven nor hell.
Right.
Just people waiting. And then
Just waiting for a long time.
I think he wanted. I think he felt like he needed to finish off the three,
Yeah.
you know, and then with Paradisimo, didn't quite know what to put in.
Yeah. There's some really cool ideas in there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And no, how do you describe heaven? He tried.
Yeah, he tried.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, really cool ideas in there. Inferno is basically how hell is treated in all fiction from then on.
Yeah, it definitely influenced that. The nine reigns of hell comes from Dante's Inferno. That you have a different, like you have lieutenants and different levels of command in hell. That's kind of from Dante's Inferno. Well, Paradise Lost as well.
Yeah.
To bring to the end, but yeah, a lot of
Hey, Dark.
the modern concept about what hell is, what it looks like, or what happens there is not biblical. It's
Right.
Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Which weirdly also affects like TTRPGs, because the rings of hell that's used in most TTRPG worlds, it's in Galarian,
Yeah.
and it's in the I just completely lost my mind. What's it called in D&D? The base D&D world, Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
It's in Forgotten Realms. The circles.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, all that comes
Well,
from there.
you'll see a lot in movies.
That's true, Dark.
Right on, Dark. Right on. Gosh, glad you could read. No, I really weirdly enjoyed Dante's Inferno. I got a big book of it over there.
Yeah. I recently reread it. I firmly agree. Inferno's a great read.
The game, you know what? Dante's Inferno game wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was kind of cool. They had lots of nods to the book on there. So yes, we have a lot of planet names. We'll be going through the gods here in a minute.
I took us down this weird track. I'm sorry.
And then I think you can't. It's hard to look at Roman without going, oh, okay, Greeks.
Yeah.
Roman has its own things, but a lot of it's just stories that kind of came in from the Greeks. Probably the story of Hercules is told in the Greeks as well as it is
Hercules.
for the Romans, right?
Before anybody's like, well, why did Trey take us down this path? Well, because we were talking about Virgil. And Virgil's in there. Sorry.
I mentioned Ovid and Virgil. Well, we get a lot from Ovid and Virgil. And, if you're taking like higher level courses on literature, classic literature, world literature, things like that, you've probably read a few of them.
Nice.
I got a which one's still okay. Yeah, I don't want to talk with you guys with that. Talk about it tomorrow. Please. But I got the Pantheon, and I got kind of stuck with like the main Pantheon. There may be minor gods, goddesses that get like overlooked. The same way like with the Norse and others when you're going through the Pantheon and all that. But they kind of cover the
it's gonna make Will happy.
right on. Excellent. And I kind of want to point out, just as we talk about myths, these are in a way more than stories, because a lot of these affected the views of ancient people.
Yeah, absolutely.
How they saw the world, they believed in. So for us, they may be like, hey, that's a cool story, but they really have something deeper in them.
Yeah, it stands the same as all the others, right? We don't mean any disrespect in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and a lot of it may just, because I don't see the world that way, go through. But, I'm sorry, like I said, a lot of these, when I mentioned the Roman gods going through them, you will know automatically, if you know any Greek mythology, you'll know where they come from, who they're based on, how they transported over. So I'll start with the king of the gods, and that's Jupiter. Jupiter is the king of gods, ruler of heavens, associated with thunder, lightning, and the protection of the state, which is something very Greek, protection of the state, that Rome picked up. But Jupiter, obviously, if you look up, see Jupiter. I would not hold it against you if you saw it and went, okay, there's Zeus.
Right.
And no, that's Jupiter from that. But he's the king, he's the head of the pantheon, and his wife is named Juno. And she wasn't a pregnant teenager.
Right. Just real quick before we move on from Jupiter, I really like that a lot of the statues to Jupiter have him like holding his robe up, with the implication being that the clothes cannot contain him. Whereas Zeus is often just naked, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I really like the idea of, no, I'm almost modest, but these clothes aren't good enough for me.
No. What need of clothes has a god?
Yeah.
But Juno, the queen of the gods, Jupiter's wife, she's a goddess of marriage, childbirth, and the protector of women.
Nice.
Would seek out vengeance.
That's very true.
That's
Why would
very
he
true.
bother?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? That chick's hot. I'm going to turn into a cow.
Yeah.
I'm turning into a bull.
Why, Zeus?
Now there's no planet Juno, so maybe she got overlooked.
Is she supposed to be like, because Juno's a moon of Jupiter, right? So that's all she got was just a moon?
I guess so. Yeah. A lot of the planet names. Roman. Another Roman god you need to know. A lot of these I expect y'all have heard one way or the other, but Neptune.
Neptune!
God of the sea, rivers, earthquakes. And he's often depicted with a trident, and he controls the waters and all sea creatures.
One of my favorite planets.
Right? Neptune. And once again, if you look at that one, hey,
Sorry.
isn't that Poseidon? It's like, no, I understand where you're coming from. That is Neptune.
So this is King Triton.
You're right. No. No, Daddy. Look, you're 16. Shut up. Sorry. Little Mermaid flashbacks.
Yeah. I know better than the King of the Sea.
Right. Mars, god of war.
Yeah.
He was also the he's kind of the god of the Roman military. They followed Mars, and of course he's always portrayed as a warrior, very fierce, relentless in battle. Oftentimes he got a helmet and spear, and that's all he needs: the spear and magic helmet, and no clothes.
A lot of the statues for him have him with an exceptional mustache.
Oh yeah,
And I just think that's great.
yeah. He got a Nietzsche-esque mustache. That one right there, he looks psycho. What was?
Oh, this one?
Hold
This
on.
one right here?
Yeah. Oh my. Okay.
He's getting ready for war, okay?
Talk about a 1,000-yard stare, man.
Kill somebody with that look.
Right. And of course, we got to talk about Venus. Everybody knows what Venus is. A goddess of love, beauty, and fertility.
That's where women are from, right?
Venus is associated with desire, romance, and sensuality. So you can see that Juno and Venus both represent women, but kind of like the two sides of women. Because with Juno, it's marriage,
Right.
it's childbirth. Of course, as I should protect it, it's marriage and childbirth. With Venus, it's desire and romance.
Yeah.
So you send in Venus first, and then Juno takes over, right?
Right.
Mercury, also known as Hermes, if you're a Greek fanatic.
Yeah.
He's got the little winged feet. He's the messenger of the god. He's also the god of commerce, and I think that gets forgotten about.
Yeah.
Especially in modern day, because the staff he carries is often seen on medical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Through that, it's not that exact staff. It's actually a different staff,
Right.
but it looks a lot like it.
I like his helmet.
Yeah. I've actually got wings tattooed on my hand.
Nice.
So yeah. Now here's one that doesn't get named a lot, but I really like. It's Minerva.
I was about to say, how do I not know that? But I've never seen your ankles.
Right.
And why would I have?
Yeah, I don't know. Weirdo. Yeah. Minerva, she's a goddess of wisdom. But she's not only a goddess of wisdom, she is a goddess of strategic warfare.
Yeah.
Mars is about the hand-to-hand. Minerva talks to the generals. And handicrafts. So she was if you sat down and made a little sculpture at home, that was the goddess you were worshiping doing that.
Yeah.
She is often associated with owls. Yeah, she's a patron of arts and crafts.
My old editing computer was called Minerva.
Right?
Because I really like Minerva.
Yeah.
Minerva is super cool to me. Especially in that day and age when it comes down to it, war was thought to be something that men fought. You know? Minerva stood up and was like, no, I'm just as good.
Yeah. But hers wasn't about, like, Mars is obviously the better fighter.
Right.
But when it came to a battle or a war and looking at the battlefield, for your common soldier, Mars is the one you want him concentrated on Mars.
Right.
You want your generals using wisdom of Minerva.
Yeah.
Right? Do that. Yeah, she is very cool.
I like her a lot.
Right.
A lot of depictions here. The statues are very old at this point, so a lot of the extra details may have been lost.
Yeah.
But a lot of the statues have her hand where clearly she was holding a spear at some point.
Right.
And like it's been broken off because of age.
Yeah.
And I just really like the idea of like somebody went and grabbed part of that spear to use themselves. It's like, hey, this is Minerva's spear, you know?
Yes, Waverly. Minerva would be your patron.
Right.
We've got Apollo.
Yeah.
The god of the sun, light, music, and a prophecy. He's also associated with healing and medicine. Yeah. Apollo's cool. God of the sun. And this is an instance where, the sun god is not the main god.
Right.
But lower god. And Apollo, the music associated with healing and medicine, so a lot of the houses of healing, things like that. Apollo, who they prayed to and followed.
He had a chariot.
Diana, this goddess of the moon, hunting and the wilderness. And she's often depicted with a bow and arrow, and she's a protector of wild animals. And there's something about that one that stands out to me, this the female hunter with a bow and arrow. And you'll find that in quite a few places, Ireland, I believe.
Yeah.
Irish mythology, quite a few places where it's, if I just gave you the description that she's a goddess of hunting and wilderness and depicted with a bow and arrow, there's a few you could pick from.
Yeah, that was really funny timing, Dark. Dark asked, who's the cute bow girl? I forget. And then you said, we have Diana.
Yeah, right. Nice. Perfect timing.
But yeah, you have, you mentioned Ireland, but you absolutely have Rhiannon, and that's what she did. She was the huntress, you know?
Yeah. So go to that. Vulcan. We get the word vulcanizing rubber. And of course they use it in Star Trek.
Right.
But he is a god of fire, metalworking, and craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Vulcan is a blacksmith. He's a blacksmith of the gods. So if Jupiter needs something made, a legendary weapon, Vulcan's the one who made it. But he has a mighty forge, and he creates tools and weapons.
He's depicted very differently from the way that Hephaestus is depicted.
Yeah.
Hephaestus is always like short and stocky.
Well, Hephaestus was a man, wasn't he?
Right, originally.
Yeah.
And then became a god. And he's treated almost like a dwarf the way that we look at dwarves today, right? Whereas Vulcan is like this big buff dude with a hammer. But yeah, I find it really interesting that when we look at the transfers, most of the time they're almost one-to-one.
Yeah.
But with Hephaestus and Vulcan, they're very different.
Yeah. Ceres. Now, Ceres is the goddess of agriculture, crops, and fertility. Ceres is associated with the harvest and the abundance of earth. In these ancient times, food was very important. Your crops coming in was very important. So myth after myth after myth, we run into a goddess of, like, they're over the harvest.
Yeah.
They take care of the fields. Everybody's favorite, Bacchus.
Yeah.
God of wine, merriment, and celebration. Bacchus is known for his wild and extravagant festivities, which all sounds well and good until you study and find out who the Baccharii.
Yeah.
The Baccharii.
Yeah.
Baccharii were. And they were all women that just partied, and ripped apart men and ate them.
Yep. Athena would be a top, Diana would be a bottom.
Huh?
Dark says Athena would be a top and Diana would be a bottom. Never change, Dark.
The Saturn.
Yeah,
He
Vulcan
is-
because they had GS3.
He is also over agriculture, along with Ceres. But his is over. He also covers wealth and time. So it's not over. It's more over the agricultural seasons rather than over the crops themselves. He's often shown the sickle, and a lot of times he's associated, and this is going to be a little bit, the golden age of prosperity and abundance.
Yeah.
So silver age in Rome and the golden age where they were just, Rome was the world, basically.
Saturn's a weird one too, because isn't he also like a mix of that idea and Kronos, the Greek god of time?
No, the Titans are
they separate in Rome?
they're separate. There's
Okay.
no Kronos and the Titans aren't mentioned.
Right.
That are found.
Okay.
Some of the other shows.
I vaguely remember there being a story about Saturn had rings because each ring was an age. But if that's just the idea of this was when things were good.
He's not a tree.
Right. Yes, I agree. But
Gosh, Trey. No, but Saturn, Saturnalius. I know a lot of right? Yeah. Or Bukkake. Don't mix those up.
Yeah, those are very different things.
The Saturn, you see a lot of times, especially later on, that Saturn lines up with Satan.
Come on, Trey.
They,
It's gonna have those rings like a tree.
Cupid, everybody knows Cupid, right? Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, he's got a holiday. God of love and desire. He's known for his bow and arrow, which can cause people to fall in love. Love that. And he's not a cherubim, okay? And the cherubim, when I say cherubim, you're thinking about a little white kid, little fat white toddler with curly hairs. That's not a cherubim either.
Yeah.
But that's what they keep showing up.
Yeah.
That one up there in the middle looks weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Dark, you are correct. It does have another K. I wish I didn't know that fact, but it does have another.
I had no idea. How do you know, Trey?
Because I've been on the internet for more than 10 years.
This is one you don't hear of a lot.
That's it, Dark.
Actually, I can only think of one story that she's in, and I'm sure there's more, right? But Proserpina. Proserpina?
Okay.
She's a goddess of the underworld. She's a wife of Pluto. Proserpina represents the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
That's supposed to be Persephone.
Yeah, but no, it's Proserpina.
Right.
I did throw Hercules in here because Hercules is still a thing, but in Rome, he's still a legendary hero known for his strength and the 12 labors. Because he's the son of Jupiter and the symbol of courage and bravery.
Makes sense.
It's so weird looking over this, like so many words that we get today that we use. Like the goddess Aurora. Hercules. Aurora, she is the goddess of dawn. She symbolizes the arrival of a new day.
Okay.
And she's often depicted with rosy fingers and a chariot.
Rosy fingers.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about that? Take that what you will. Do that. But Aurora, of course, we have the Aurora Borealis today.
Yeah.
Things like that. We use that word.
You like the way Hercules' legendary journeys did Cupid?
Yeah.
Cupid's pretty interesting there.
I dig that actor too. And that was probably the first things I ever saw him in. They go see him in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Neptune be mad I beat Atlantis in FGO? Maybe. TV hell video from him. Yeah. It used to be a big thing.
Janus.
Yeah.
Guy in it's January. Janus, he's the god of beginnings, transitions, and doorways. Janus is often portrayed with two faces looking to the past and the future.
Yeah.
The two heads are kind of weird. And I see that a lot. You'll see one like an older bearded guy, one more younger looking, and then a lot of them see with just two beards. Do that facing like front to back, not side to side. One's in the front, one's facing backwards. And he looks to the future and looks to the past.
It's an interesting idea for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I am the god of doorways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miss Janus.
Well, that goes into the. There's kind of understand it, yeah. The the idea that the doorway is a form of a portal,
Yeah.
that you've created something, and you make a doorway to go through where you change locations, you've created something mystical.
Yeah.
And
Something that connects to locations.
yeah.
Could be dark. Could be.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I'm sorry, Janus. Janus. Yeah. Not Janus. The Pluto. Now, he's a god of the underworld, ruler of the dead. But he's also associated with wealth hidden beneath the earth. He's a god of grave robbers. I don't know.
It's just a dwarf planet.
Yeah, just a dwarf planet. Yeah.
Along with Ceres.
I finally found the reason why Pluto is not a planet. If a planet gets out of orbit, it's going to be catastrophic, obviously.
Right.
Out of orbit. But if Pluto gets out of orbit, of course it'll be catastrophic, but it's going to start leaving an ice tail.
Right.
And, yeah, so it's a lot closer to a comet.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
He's in dwarven form. He's also Mickey's dog.
Yes, he also Mickey Dog. For sure. And Vesta.
Others means that Pluto and Goofy both exist. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Why are there dog people and dogs?
Yeah. That's been brought up. What was it? Wayne's World? If Goofy's a dog, Mickey's a mouse, what the hell? No, if Pluto's a dog, Mickey's a mouse, what the hell is Goofy?
Also, Goofy dates a cow lady at one point.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just saying. Said Vesta?
No, I didn't say she was. I didn't say Minnie was crazy. I said she was effing Goofy. Vesta, the goddess of heart, home, and family.
It's been brought up and then it cut to ad? That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Vesta, goddess of hearth, home, and family. Vesta is the guardian of the sacred flame and represents domestic life.
So she's a firekeeper from Dark Souls.
Basically, yes.
Nice.
Veiled firekeeper.
Nice. She's not my favorite.
Want to keep your home warm, healthy, and happy.
Also, a bunch of these that have been mentioned are names of dwarf planets as well. They're out in the Chiron Belt.
Yeah.
I just think that's really interesting that, you know, even though they couldn't see some of those,
Yeah.
when it came time to name them, scientists went, yeah, you know, we're just going to keep with the trend. Why would we buck it now? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That one is Ceres.
Right? What is that? Vesta. Not a Vespa. Vesta.
Right.
All right.
Welcome back indeed, Chad.
As I said, a lot of this just goes into. It's hard to separate it from Greek mythology because, like I said, the god lines up the Jupiter, Zeus,
Yeah.
Juno, Hera, Neptune, Poseidon, Mars, Ares, Venus, Aphrodite, Mercury, Hermes, Minerva. I'm not sure. Apollo.
Yeah. Well, and Uranus wasn't in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, Apollo's the sun, right?
Yeah, but but he had a Greek counterpart.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it also Apollo?
That might be.
I'm gonna double check.
Yeah, double check. I don't think it is. What is
Stolen. Yeah, from Greece. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Apollo was also the name of the Greek god.
a little bit. You're looking at a time difference between the two empires, though. I just think it kind of went from Greece into Italy. Now, a lot of it, maybe it was for forced conversion. A lot of it may just be language,
Yeah, could be.
you know,
Venus and
and
Star.
becoming their own thing. Go ahead.
The other names for Apollo are Apollon and Phobos.
Yeah. What?
Phobos.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't either.
Interesting.
Those are his three names according to the Greek Dictionary of Gods.
Yes. Now, when it comes to Rome, there's two people I got to mention. It's Romulus and Remus.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the foundation of Rome.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't mean to stop you. Isn't Apollon or Apollon also the name of a demon?
Abaddon.
That's right. Yeah. I thought Apollyon. Oh, it's Apollyon.
Yeah.
The one that's the keeper of the abyss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phobos.
Phobos.
Could be. That could be how you're supposed to be pronouncing it. Phobos is like a sneaky, stealthy god in Greek mythology.
Okay.
The god of not deceit, but the god of not wanting to be seen, something like that. Anyway, please continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. But we're trying to figure this out. A lot of these myths are connected around the world in this weird way.
Yeah.
It's really easy to see with the Roman Greeks,
Right.
right? What are the God? If I say it's really easy to see with Roman and Greek, so obviously we went over some.
Right.
See, but Rome does have its own stories.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times these pantheons, you could almost change the name and move them over. You may change the gender of the god or goddess
Right.
over that, but that realm of what they're over, what they're associated with, it kind of falls on in other mythologies.
Right.
It's the same. If you have one god that's over this.
Just to clarify, Dark, the Phobos, as they called it, was Phoebus, which is why I didn't originally think of Phobos, but I bet it is still said Phobos, because that's the way we know the word today. Boggy should be a god. He does shoot bees.
Look, he commands the bee. He's a god of bees.
Yeah, that's canon.
He's got of bees in the swamp.
Boggy's on our Monday streams, Dark. He is my faithful companion that shoots bees at my enemies.
Yes. Okay, so Romulus and Remus are these twin brothers. They're before Rome. There's a land called Alba Longa. They were born to a princess there named Rhea Silvia, and the god Mars. Of course, he had taken the form of a mortal. There, but their uncle Amulius, he was the king of this place called Alba Longa, and feared that twins would grow up and challenge his throne. So this story's been told, right?
Right.
Get rid of the babies.
Yeah.
They don't have the heart to get rid of the babies, so
somebody keeps them alive and hides them, and
so to eliminate that, he ordered the twins to be abandoned in the Tiber River. Like we talk about this part of the world, Tiber River's pretty important.
yeah.
But the river, in its divine providence, carried them to safety. The infants were found by a she-wolf named Lupa, who nurtured them with her milk and protected them from harm. And later, a shepherd named Faustulus discovered the boys and raised them as his own sons. Growing up in the wilderness, Romulus and Remus were both very strong, but very courageous. When they reached adulthood, they found out that their true heritage. They were the sons of Mars and Princess Rhea, and what happened during their birth. And they wanted revenge against King Amulius. And they wanted their rightful place in Alba Longa. So they had loyal followers, and they rallied the army to overthrow the tyrant king. And during the battle, Romulus and Remus, they were up front, side by side, fighting valiantly. And then they get in an argument. And Romulus accidentally ends up killing Remus. Goes to strike him, hit him harder than he should. That Remus dies. So Romulus becomes the sole leader of the cause. Driven by a vision, he saw this is a sign from the gods that he was destined to fulfill a great purpose. He decided to establish a new city where they were found as infants on the banks of the Tiber River. And so he named the city Rome in his own honor. This is weird. We get actual date. It's that day.
Yeah.
He laid its foundations on April 21st, 753 BCE, or BC. And it became the birthplace of one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in history. Romulus envisioned Rome as a grand city, symbol of strength, prosperity, and order, and he invited people from neighboring regions to settle in his city, promising them safety, freedom, and the opportunity to build a new life. And under Romulus's rule, Rome thrived, growing into a mighty empire that would leave an indelible mark on the world. And if you read old stories about other people dealing with Rome, they may not be Roman, but a Roman citizenship went a long way. When they they were called out by some guards, came and got them. We're going to cause them harm. They're like, wait a minute, no, I'm a Roman citizen.
Yeah.
I demand my rights.
Yeah.
And it went a long way. And it goes back to this foundation that, Rome is made up of many peoples.
Mm-hmm. I like the story of Romulus and Remus a lot. I think it's literally raised by wolves, right, for a part of their life. Yeah. These two super brothers.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. Two shames, I guess. Shame that in an argument Remus dies. Yeah. And then a shame that Romulus goes, I claimed this city, and I'm making this city, and I only got this far because my brother helped me. I'm going to name the city after myself and not after him.
Rome. Rome. Well, in some tales, Romulus and Remus both get a vision, and there's a different accounting.
Yeah.
In their two visions.
Yeah.
And in some tales, Remus is the one that's like, he must be the one, and Romulus is like, no, not having that.
Right.
Kills him.
Yeah.
And in other ones, Romulus is chosen as, oh, that's the true vision. Mm-hmm. It's yours. And Remus tries to, that starts the argument and the fight.
Right.
For Romulus, they didn't kill Remus.
Yeah, a lot of people around that time were doing the slave stuff. That was pretty big around that time.
Oh yeah,
the Romans definitely did a lot.
Yeah, when you're talking about the ancient world, you're not gonna run into a culture without slaves.
Yeah,
there's one maybe in the Caribbean, I think.
Right.
Especially in this area around the Mediterranean, top and bottom. You're gonna deal with slavery. It was part of the culture. It's how they survived. There were rules about, hey, we take prisoners to wars, and a lot of them not to put a silver lining in slavery.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was, no, this guy is now your slave. He's your responsibility. So they need to be fed. They need to be housed. You make sure they got clothes. And then it was on the slave to do everything that they needed to do. It was asked of.
No, I agree with where you're coming from there, Dark. It's just, your misunderstanding is that the freedom was for the free people. The Rome was a free city for the free people.
Yeah, for Roman citizens. That was the kind of thing.
I don't think we have to go on record and say everybody should have been free, but
like if you in the New Testament of the Bible, there's a character named Paul, and because of his birth, now he's Jewish,
right?
Because of the world economic politics of the time, he was born a Roman citizen, and he actually. At one point in time has to use that. It's like, hey, I get my trial. I'm a Roman citizen.
Yeah, you can't just kill me.
And the soldiers that were just going to kill him were like, yeah, this will cause a lot of trouble before it gets out.
Yeah,
that we've messed with Roman citizens. But yeah, there was an idea. There was classes of people.
Yeah, if you weren't a Roman citizen, you didn't matter.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't have been that way, but that's the way it was.
That's the way
it was everywhere there.
Yeah, that was. Human labor was seen as a mandatory part of surviving. And for the upper class, obviously.
Yeah, right? And it still was for a very long time, and still is in some parts of the world.
Yeah,
but
there's more slaves today than there ever been in history.
Yeah, but
not good.
The problem was they just didn't look at them as the same people. Which
No, they gave them a thing to stand over and say, look, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
You don't have the rights. I do.
Yeah.
So we would take that.
Because you're right. The free city should have been free.
Yeah.
But it's just not the way it was, unfortunately.
No.
People are hypocrites.
No. And look, honestly, by the time you get to look into like Julius Caesar, let's just go real back. Let's go Nero.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Nero. If you line up what Romulus was thinking about and Nero's rule, you're probably going to run into some things that don't line up.
Right. Especially Caligula's.
Yeah. Well, he just liked to party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rome falls.
He wished he was raised by wolves.
Now, I mentioned Virgil earlier.
Yeah.
And there's a epic poem written by Virgil, the Roman poet, called the Aeneid. Aeneid. The Aeneid. Aeneid. The Aeneid.
I've heard it said so many different ways.
Yeah.
The Aeneid is the one that I heard
And
a professor say once. But
maybe he said it's got through.
Nero. It's not. I mean, yes, Nero. Nero is not the Nero. It is the Nero you're thinking of, Will.
Yeah.
But the Nero you're thinking of is the Fate version of Nero.
Yeah.
Who is a very different person.
Nero was a butcher.
Yeah.
He
I guess not that different of a person. It's just now Nero's an anime waifu.
Yeah. No, Nero was horrible psycho. Some of the stories to tell. He loved crucifixion, skinning people alive.
Yeah.
Like watching people getting tortured.
Oh, Dark, I'm glad you're here. That's all I'm saying. I'm just glad you're here.
All right. But the Aeneid is an epic poem. It's written by Virgil, and it does go. We do get a lot from it, having these ancient manuscripts. That
I don't know. Did Nero? I don't remember Nero making deals with succubi, but that's not to say that he would.
No, and when you get into myths, and they go out.
Right.
They kind of spread out, and there's stories that may not be like official in the myth, but well known through that. I think of when we were doing
fiddle while Rome burns.
Yeah. Like he had a fiddle.
Right.
He was a liar. Wait, he was probably a liar, but he was playing a liar. Bring me a small liar. Wasn't me. I didn't do it. It takes it in the mail. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
God bless Dom. I forgot where I was.
The Aeneid.
Oh yeah. So this is the big poem, epic poem, and we get these a lot. We found.
I don't know that Nero.
That Nero that you're talking about, he was often okay. Getting to a little bit off topic, but I want to try to clear this up if I can. Okay. So the Nero, when you're talking about there, again, basically there's a devil or burst devil, something that replaces. Okay, not the devil, the Antichrist.
Right.
Because Christians at that time, it was not a good time to be a Christian.
Oh.
In fact, that's the time that during that time is where the Christian tradition of taking your hat off when you go indoors, that comes from that time.
Now I know.
Because the Jews, it was anathema for them to take their hat off.
Yeah.
You know, that you kept it on, you covered your head. It was required by God. And so when so at first, the Romans were coming down really hard on the Jews. That has to do with the Battle of Beth Horon. There's a couple of things. I'm trying not to get into like running all over history. Kind of get excited about this stuff. So, in order not to be mistaken for a gathering of Jews, they would take their hat off when they go inside. So the Romans kicked open the door. They looked in. It's like nobody's wearing a hat. These must not be Jews. Let's get out of here. Of course, they figured that out pretty quickly, and it turned from once Rome had basically squashed the Jews. Okay, I can back up a little bit. History lesson. There's a famous battle. These battles kind of bookend. One's called the Battle of the Taurus River. That's not the one we're worried about. That happened in Spain. This happened in Israel around Jerusalem. It's called the Battle of Beth Horon.
Yeah.
And you got to understand, Romans had a contingent down there. They had heavy cavalry. They had heavy infantry. They had a massive army. Imagine, I think the number's around 80,000 in the army. They had a group of Jewish rebels that was light cavalry, light infantry, but not heavily armored, and archery, I think. They did archery. They only made about 25,000, so they're outnumbered a little over 2 to 1. Actually, a little over 3 to 1. But the Jews ended up winning. They beat that huge Roman army, sent them packing. This was in AD. I do believe it's going to be about AD 60 to 65.
Right.
I need to double check that. It's not long before AD 70. Mm-hmm. And so the Jews winning this battle and kicking Rome out that's been stomping on them for a while go, okay, God's with us again. We must be, we must have, if food is in favor, we're not going to listen to Rome anymore. When news gets back to the Roman emperor, and it's like, no, this is not happening. So he sends a big army down to Jerusalem and levels Jerusalem. That happened in AD 70. Not one stone on top of the other. When I hear about that, they level Jerusalem and put it down.
Okay, that's good.
They went down, and Nero really starts coming down. Like, there was always gladiator fights. Like, you put a gladiator in with a lion, but he's got armor, he's got a shield, he's got some kind of weapon to defend himself. Under Nero, it's like, no, just put him in. Don't give him nothing. Just put him in there. I want to see him get eaten.
Yeah.
Don't hurt the lion. Kill the people. With that, which the lion's dead.
Yeah.
But so he was seen as a lot of Christians in that time, early time. He was seen as he was the Antichrist. So there were probably a lot of tales building that up.
Right.
But he's not a nice guy.
No.
But the Aeneid, the epic poem,
Yes.
It begins with the fall of Troy during the Trojan War. And this comes up a lot in Roman mythology as well as Greek. The Trojan War.
And then of Troy.
Right. Aeneas, chosen by Aeneas, not Anus. You're a jerk, Aeneas. Aeneas, chosen by the gods to carry on the Trojan lineage, escapes the destruction of the city, accompanied by a small band of loyal followers, including his young son, Ascanius, and his father, Anchises. Aeneas set sail, there's a lot of A's. I like the letter A, okay? Aeneas sets sail on a perilous journey across the Mediterranean Sea. Throughout his travels, he faces numerous challenges, encountering very mythological creatures, gods, legendary figures. He visits lots of places. Carthage, where he meets Queen Dido, and they form a brief but tragic romance. But duty calls, so Aeneas has got to leave Dido to continue his divine mission to carry on the Tronian lineage. He eventually reaches Italy, where he faces fierce opposition from the native Latins led by King Turnus.
Yeah.
And the end of the poem culminates a big battle between the Trojans and Latins. And of course, there's acts of heroism. There's themes of it's his destiny to do this, and the idea of what's more important, your personal desire or the greater good. And it goes in this. So, guided by the gods, Aeneas demonstrates bravery, resilience. He strives to establish a new homeland for its people. The poem also explores the founding myth of Rome and celebrates Roman values of piety, loyalty, and pursuit of greatness. It does. It's big. When I say epic poem, it means it goes on for long.
Yeah.
Epic poem is a few things. We talked about the Norse. We got a couple of them for sure.
Yeah.
But the epic poem tells the story of his journey, which kind of sounds like the Odyssey in a weird way, right?
Yeah. It
also reflects on broader themes such as the faith of nations, the relationships between mortal and the divine, and the enduring power of destiny. This is a story that you may not have ever heard of it. You may have heard of it, not know it. You may be well read on it, better than I am, for sure, if you are. But it is one of those works of history, of ancient history, that still influences literature and things today.
Yeah.
You all right over there?
I'm okay. Chad's trying to make me laugh.
Okay.
One of my favorite things about the Aeneid is in this story and in the Odyssey, it's both times it's mentioned, is a couple creatures that are not mentioned in just about any other set of mythology. And it's such a cool idea. It's Charybdis and Scylla. It's the whirlpool with a beast at the bottom of the whirlpool and the long-armed beast on the cliff.
Yeah.
And you have to choose which is the greater evil. Yeah. And it's such a cool idea. They're called something different in each. Yeah. I believe it's Charybdis. Yeah. And not Charybdis in one, and Scala and not Scylla in the other. Yeah. But they're very obviously the same idea. Yeah. And that idea has the towers of the teeth, as it were. It's that idea, right?
The cliffs, the big rocky cliffs, or the whirlpool, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that idea.
That might be just pick idioms and trying to find where they come from.
Right.
A lot of the gods in Rome and Greek show a lot more they're more anthropomorphic. They're more human. Yeah. Than a lot of the other gods. Even though they are divine, a lot of the traits, they get jealous. Yeah. They get lustful.
Yeah, their
They
flaws
did.
are shown.
Yeah, their flaws are the flaws of humanity.
Right.
Yeah, gods of the Greeks and Romans were anthropomorphic, exhibiting many human qualities, such as love, hate, and jealousy. They're meant to be a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
What?
They really said better than a rock and a hard place, but that's where that saying came from.
Oh, yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And we talked about a lot of these stories in myths and stuff, and how they have like almost an Aesop quality to them. Like you're supposed to take a lesson from them.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
these stories tell you how to live, how to face your destiny, how to be strong. You know what you have to do to fight against monsters and giants in the world.
Yeah.
The
The trials of Hercules show, persistence, not to give up no matter how insurmountable the challenge
Right.
seems.
and like I said, the Greek myths are very heavy in Rome.
Yeah.
From not only just the gods being renamed, but the architecture, subject matter, how sculptures looked, how they built their temple, how they did mosaics on that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that song's on Synchronicity. It's on that album.
Okay.
Big album.
Flaws of mankind multiplied by a few billion. Yeah.
There is something about so we're talking about
Takeaway is that the gods are jerks.
yeah. That part of that is like if you get power, don't act like Zeus
Yeah.
or Jupiter.
Yeah, don't be like him.
Yeah, with that. We're going to this. I want to read this off. And this is from World History, Roman Mythology. It's mentioned how Greece, go to that. But in Greece, myths derive from a rich old oral tradition. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, Hesiod's Theogony. These were tales that have been passed down through the generations. In fact, the story don't forget the story of Atlantis through Homer from his uncle
Yeah.
who visited Egypt,
Atlantica.
who was told learning about the foundation of Egypt, learned about the Atlantis, which is in the Sahara Desert. It's an eye. I've seen it.
It is a very distinct eye. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Even for people that don't, we're a little bit more open to theories than some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
If I sat somebody down and showed them that image and was like, look,
And explain
This-
to him. Yeah.
this is where the legends say it was, because where all the mythology says it was.
Okay. Just so we can get that. It's the
Wrapped around your-
Richard Ricard Reichat structure. Is that what it's called? It's in the Western Sahara Desert.
Right.
Okay, and it's got these. It's a ring structure. It's called the Eye of Sahara. You can see it from space. It's got 3 rings, just like Atlantis is supposed to have. The water in between. Of course, it's got no water, and it's in the desert. It's got these 3 risen rings. It does look like it has a port out to the sea. To the north of it are mountains. In the middle structure, which is a little thing, built up in the middle of these rings, you can actually find fresh water there. There's just so much that lines up with our description of Atlantis. And when you back up and look at the desert across that, you see like water lines all around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's that's one of those that, like I was saying, even people that aren't big into theories and ideas have to look at that and go, man,
Yeah.
that's something.
Okay.
Please continue.
So Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, they were tales been passed down through generations, through spoken word, and finally written down around the 8th century BC. When Rome was founded around the 8th century BC, many of the Greek city-states were already well established. Greece had even founded colonies on the Italian peninsula and Sicily. Centuries later, after 4 Macedonian wars, this is right after Alexander the Great dies. It's 4 generals fighting over the empire. These colonies would become part of the early Roman Republic. Its contact with Greece, and more specifically with the Greek religion and mythology, had a lasting effect on Roman and his people. Rome was able to adopt much that defined Greeks: art, philosophy, literature, and drama. Mythology, however, had to be adapted to reflect a Roman set of values. So in a lot of ways, it was the Greeks.
Hi, Dart.
Okay. See you later, Dart. Thanks for being here.
Is that time?
Yeah. Yeah. The influence of Greek myths was seen everywhere in Rome. In the architecture, subject matter, adornment, sculptures, temples, mosaics. The adoption of all that was Greek can be seen in the city's relationship with the Trojan War.
Yeah.
And if you go over, like I said, if you go over Greek history, mythology, and Roman, the Trojan War is going to come up.
Yeah.
And that war ultimately led to the most basic of Roman mythology, the birth of Romulus and Remus and the founding of the city. Where much of Greek mythology was transmitted through their poetry and drama, the Roman myths were written in prose, providing a sense of history and a foundation for all that was Roman, their rituals and institutions. In Roman mythology, the difference between history and myth was almost indistinguishable. Rome was a city of destiny, and the myths told that story.
Yeah.
One other guy I read, that was Virgil.
Right.
I'll get a little bit on Virgil there. Do that, but I need to talk about Ovid a little bit.
Okay.
We get a lot of that. So there was lots of authors who wrote on the myths of Rome. Now Ovid, he was exiled by Emperor Augustus.
Right.
He wrote at a very critical time in Roman history. The emperor was hoping to reestablish a connection to the republic's old religion and reverence for the gods. So Ovid penned several works centering on both Roman myth and religion. Metamorphosis and Fasti are two of his best-known works. Now, if you look up Metamorphosis, you're going to want to put Ovid, because I believe Kafka wrote a story called Metamorphosis about the guy that turns into a bug. Yeah. Spoilers, like everybody's going to read it. But yeah.
What a weird man Kafka was.
Yeah. I think I got that right. I may have just shut my foot in my mouth. Yeah.
Ovid, I got to pull it up to make sure, but I think Ovid also wrote a book called Theocracy?
Yes. Yeah. The Theogony.
Theogony, yeah.
I wrote Theogony.
That's a really interesting book.
Yeah. So his stories were Greek. He wrote Greek stories. He just put in Roman names.
Yeah.
On that. In Fasti, he portrayed the festivals of the first 6 months of the old Roman calendar, the legend of the gods, and the origin of many of their rituals. While early Roman mythology maintained a deep connection with the city and its rich history, it centered on one specific legend: the birth of its founder, Romulus and Remus.
Right.
The idea that Rome is a city of destiny. Right? Yeah. I think today we might use the term city-state, just talking about Rome specifically.
For sure.
Obviously, it's an empire, right?
Yeah.
The rise and fall of the Roman Empire. It got huge, centered up in the Gaul.
Mm-hmm.
Was it into parts of Russia?
Yeah.
Or over there? Okay.
Yeah, it spread so far that it overtaxed its own borders.
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't think it didn't go over as far as Alexander the Great's.
No.
It broke down, but it had went over up into England, almost into Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Just famous wall there.
Yeah. No, it spread too far. Couldn't support its spread.
Yeah. I mentioned Homer's Odyssey a while ago.
Yeah.
And it says, while the true origin of Rome varies from source to source, historical as well as fiction, one of the earliest to relate to the story, reminiscent of Homer's Odyssey, was Virgil's and his Aeneid.
Yeah.
Right? A tale that related to the travels. And I kind of summarized that a while ago, of them going through it. It's very similar to the Odyssey. Now, I've never read the Aeneid. I have read Odyssey, the Iliad and the Odyssey. It's been a while.
And it's a fun read, but it's not that it's just so similar. You might as well say that it's like stealing from it, because it is different. But it's very clear they were inspired by the same stories.
Yeah.
There's so much of, like, at one point they meet a Cyclops on an island, you know? At one point they find a tree that has golden fruit on it. It's not the world tree, but it's, you know.
It's got similarities there.
Yeah.
It's like that.
They follow Apollo at one point when they get lost to be able to find their way back.
What was interesting, the Trojan horse, right? That's not from Homer's Odyssey. That's not Greek, even though it's a big Greek thing. That was actually from Virgil.
Yeah.
The story of the Trojan War, so it's related to the Greek. You know, or that. Venus helped the defeated Trojans leave the city after that, by the way.
Yeah.
And set sail for Italy. We're foretold that Aeneas would found a city.
Yeah.
Travel first to Greece, like in Homer's tale, but they get blown off course. So Jupiter's wife Juno interferes throughout the story. They land in Carthage, where I mentioned he meets Dido. Of course, love follows and forgets what he's supposed to be doing because Dido is apparently kind of hot. Right? So Mercury has to show up, messenger, intervenes to say, hey, you've got to go. So he has to leave. And unfortunately, this is where the tragedy comes in. I mean, Queen Dido commits suicide.
Yeah.
Over the loss of her beloved. She actually throws herself upon a burning pyre. This is really because he gets suicide. He lands in Cumae and consults Sybil, who's an oracle, and she leads him to hell or Hades.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Hades, where he not only encounters his fallen enemies, Queen Dido, but he meets his recently deceased father, who tells him of the great city that his descendants would establish. He reached the mouth of the Tiber. Trojans entered into war with King Turnus, the Rutulian, handiwork. Juno through there. Venus appears to Vulcan, the Roman version of the Greek Hephaestus,
Right.
to make Aeneas new armor and weapons as he had done for Achilles. And they finally managed to kill Turnus and defeat him, and that was done in a duel. Okay, one-on-one. He didn't die in battle. But that was kind of like sums up the whole story as and his descendants, Romulus and Remus. Which, after... This is weird. Okay, so Romulus and Remus were the sons of the war god Mars and Rhea Silvia, the princess, right?
Yeah.
She's the daughter of the true king of Alba Longa, Numitor. That really reminds me of the Numenorian thing.
It does, yeah.
Anyway, in a coup, Romulus throws his brother into safeguard. His time on the throne forced Rhea to join the Vestal Virgins. If you remember, you mentioned Vesta earlier.
Yeah.
So, see, forced Rhea. One day, and this goes into the birth of Romulus and Remus. One day, Mars spied. He saw the young Rhea in the sacred wood, and basically, he took what he wanted.
Yeah.
And she became pregnant with two sons who ended up being Romulus and Remus. Of course, they're thrown into Tiber.
Right.
And go through that. There's a lot of... hold on, this is the part I was trying to get to. Okay. A recent flood caused them to drift ashore at Ficus Ruminalius, or where they were rescued by the she-wolf. Talking about that. With the she-wolf, she-wolf is a sacred animal of Mars. The wolf was supposedly aided by a woodpecker. So the sacred animals of Mars are wolves and woodpeckers. Of course, the herd.
True fighters.
Right, yeah, right. Well, of course, later on, they find out who they are, what happened, whatever. There's the other part of the story. I said they got in an argument and Romulus had killed that. Yeah. In one version of the dispute, the boys agreed to watch for omens and a flight of bird. Romulus won the naming rights and Remus was killed. Romulus ended up ruling Rome for 40 years.
Right.
I'm trying to go over this because the guy puts a lot of things.
Yeah, so they mention it there. The Greek hero Heracles became the Roman champion Hercules.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, because Hera doesn't exist. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see. Roman mythology, like that of the Greek, contained a number of gods and goddesses because of the early influence of Greece on the Italian peninsula and the ever-present contact with Greek culture. The Romans adopted not only their stories, but also many of their gods, renaming a number of them. One exception to this practice is the god Apollo, the only god whose name is common in both cultures. Originally, before their association with the Greeks, many of the Roman gods were more closely associated with cults rather than myths, as was the case with the Greek hero Heracles, who became the Roman champion Hercules. Much of this change came, however, when the Romans turned from farming into war.
Makes sense.
Okay, so here we go. Yeah, I guess you're right. Good job. Early in the development of Roman mythology, there was Saturn. He's equivalent to the Greek god Cronus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so.
His temple at the foot of Capitoline Hill included the public treasury and decrees of the Roman Senate. The triad of early Roman cult deities were recreated as Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. The latter was a patron saint of craftsmen and goddesses of schoolchildren, later associated with Athena.
Right.
Jupiter, the sky god, became more akin to the Greek Zeus. Jupiter influenced every aspect of Roman's life. His temple was on the hill, with the final destination of many victorious military commanders who would leave a portion of their booty as an offering to Jupiter.
Makes sense.
His wife and sister Juno, his wife and sister, Juno became reminiscent of Hera, presiding over every facet. So a lot of the Roman gods were actually around at the time of the Greek god. Rome wasn't Rome. Cults, a bunch of pagans, people against goodness and normality, living there, and they just kind of repurposed and shifted the names to of the Greek gods more Roman sounding.
Another double saber.
There was a lot to it. Like I said, the love goddess Aphrodite became Venus, born from the foam of the seas, while the brothers Zeus and Hades and Poseidon became Pluto and Neptune, right?
Yeah.
Hades and Poseidon and Pluto and Neptune. Greek Artemis, that's what I couldn't think of that name on it.
Yeah.
Artemis. Diana, Ares, now Mars, which Ares, the war god, was now known as Mars, who had originally been an agricultural god associated with spring, a time of regeneration. In fact, March is named after him.
See, that makes a lot of sense, but I also understand how they get war god March. You know,
They didn't speak English straight.
no, I know, but you know what I mean, like how that how that became March also for that.
Yeah. Yes. Hermes became Mercury. Heracles became Hercules. As in Greece, Roman cities often adopted their own patron deity and built temples and performed rituals to honor that god. While the influence of the Greeks is vast, the Romans had a number of original gods of their own, such as Janus, the two-faced god of doorways and gates. The city gates were open during the time of war and closed during the time of peace. Which that seems backwards, doesn't it?
Right.
Similar to the Etruscan god, Coulson's, Janus could see both the future and the past.
Makes sense.
Value for his wisdom, sought over the beginning of all events. And there was Vesta, who mentioned Vesta Virgins, right? Her. She was the daughter of Saturn. Of that. Her followers were the Vesta Virgins.
Yeah,
right?
makes sense.
There was a lot of them tied up. Now, the idea that each little city in the Roman area on the Italian peninsula would have their own patron god.
Yeah.
That, for me, that goes right into it. That's a great catch for a TTRPG, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Whose city are we in?
Yeah.
Well, right now you're in Rome. You know. Right now you're in Jupiter City. They worship Jupiter.
Right.
This is Mars City. These are all warriors. They're farmers who picked up the sword. You know. This city is for Mercury. They have the best markets. In the land.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a really cool way to do it. I think another important thing there is that your clerics, they might have and your paladins, they might have one that they worship mainly, but when they're in that city, they would probably still want to give a little offering to that other one.
I would think so. Well, even in a lot of the cities where I think there was, like in the city where not Athena, the Venus temple.
Yeah.
Outside, her temple was up there, all set up, very nice, very pretty, all good, maintained, worshippers of Venus, a lot of stuff going on there. But away from that, they had monuments to each of the gods.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they even had one that was set up, didn't have a name on it.
Yeah.
This is just in case.
Yeah.
It's just in case we miss somebody. This is where you come to worship that one if we forgot somebody.
I got very distracted looking at that page because they mentioned the Lemuria Festival.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, Lemuria? But anyway, no, I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I think that when it comes to Roman and Greek mythology, you have so many monsters.
Yeah.
That you can pull from. That we could do another whole episode just on monsters from their mythology. because there's so many options there. You are set for a campaign.
Yeah, and I noticed, like, gods will be different names, may cover the same thing, but different names in different cultures. It's weird how a lot of the monsters seem to overlap, like the Phoenix, for example.
Yeah.
That's kind of a few different places. When I think of Phoenix, I'm kind of thinking of maybe like Middle Eastern or India, somewhere like that, but it goes up into China.
Right.
You know, it's kind of around a bit. I think the Cyclops is pretty much standard to them.
Oh, yeah. Minotaur.
Minotaur, you got the Minotaur, you got the Sphinx.
The Centaur as well.
Centaur, yeah. Satyrs, things like that. You're going to kind of get a hodgepodge when it comes to Greek and Roman.
Yeah.
And like on surface level, it's like, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly, you know. But there were so many, Greece influenced Rome in such a way, so many of the first Romans were Greek.
Right.
You know. And they brought up a mix between the Greek and the cults that were in Rome at the time came together, kind of. It probably wasn't that nice. It didn't happen like that.
Right.
You know, we're just going to change all these names and bring them in.
Yeah. I think a couple interesting things that I would do here is maybe take transportation magic and instead make that divine if I was running this.
Yeah.
And Janus is in charge of that. You know, to be a wizard of transportation or translocation or anything like that.
Yeah.
You had to talk to Janus. You had to be a follower of Janus to be able to use Dimension Door.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You know, stuff like that would really set it apart as a setting.
Nothing to pull out. Okay. Back up here a little bit. Like I said, I went over the main pantheon.
Right.
I said the city is often adopted on Patreon. Patreon.
We have a Patreon.
Patreon deity with temples, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Best of dog, best versions. The legend goddess Hestia the Greek, she took her own Numa, second king of Rome, founded a cult dedicated to Vesta.
Okay.
Versions. Lastly, there was Faunus. Faunus, the god of nature. I'm trying to get through that. Well, we got some stuff here. My brain's going all over the place. He was worshipped, protector of Faunus, the god of nature, was worshipped, protector of crops. With a festival in December. Also a number of water gods, vitally important to the farmers. Every river and spring had its own deity.
Right.
For example, Juturna was the goddess of springs and water. But like when it says, like the river Tiber, or Romulus and Remus, it was the river that decided that Romulus and Remus should be saved.
Right.
And it brought them to safety. It wasn't an act of God. In fact, gods were interfering in other ways.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, offerings were a big thing. Farmers brought offerings from their farming. When you go out and get all the crops, well, everything they reaped and sowed, they take part of that and give that.
Right.
But giving out, like the general going same way. The generals of the military guys going on and giving part of what they earn.
Yeah, back to Mars.
Back to Mars.
I think I would go all in with it too on the other side and have, instead of them finding magic items, it would be, hey, this is a boon from Mars. This sword or this axe or whatever is a boon from Mars. This bow is a boon from Diana. And just fully lean into that.
Yeah.
Almost Hades style, the video game, where you get the blessings from the different gods.
Right.
Like, hey, yeah, you have this piece of armor now because at the end of this battle, so-and-so saw that you did this great thing, and Vulcan himself crafted this and made it for you. It has a 0.0001% of his power,
Yeah. Bacchus, you got a wine skin from Bacchus. So it never runs
Canter
out.
of endless water.
Yes. Tiberius, he was the god of the Tiber River. And there's actually named Tiberius. Of course, the most famous being Captain Kirk.
Right, yeah.
James Tiberius Kirk, God Tiber. And every May 27th, they'd make straw dummies.
He did have to do other Romulans.
Right. And thrown into the Tiber River to pacify him.
Sure.
One thing that separates the Romans from a lot of others, well, not really separates them, but one thing that they stuck on was the belief that they were spirits. These are not God in any way, but they do have influence on the world.
Right.
They were a supernatural force. They inhabit everything. Everything has a spirit too. So, and that every May 9th, 11th, and 13th, not the 10th or 12th,
Right.
the festival of Lemuria was celebrated where the spirits of the dead were exorcised. The many Romans believed they were constantly watched over by the spirits of their ancestors. No, it doesn't. I didn't find anywhere where they worshipped ancestors.
Right.
It's just that they were around.
Not to the level of Shintoism, then.
I don't think so. To where it's like, no, you're going to tick off your ancestors, and that will bring you very, very bad fortune.
Right.
This is more like the Sunday school Jesus thing. Like, do you want to be caught doing that while your ancestors are watching?
They're watching you.
Yes. It's such a strange thing because it's the same but different.
Right.
Than Greek, and there's so much that influences one from the other. And I never really understood why until I was really looking at it today to understand that, well, a lot of them were basically Greeks that went up there.
Right.
You know, when Rome was founded.
So, of course, it influenced it greatly.
Right.
It's the exact same thing as when Christianity entered a place that it had never been before, and their religion or mythology or whatever have you changed drastically as Christianity overtook the region.
I noticed that a lot in, probably the biggest one I saw was looking at Slavic mythology.
Yeah.
Because that could have almost divided into two, pre-Christianity and then after Christianity.
Right.
The Orthodox Christianity come through there. So
it's interesting, the Greek into Roman change.
Yeah. It's I don't know, there's nowhere else that really, like, be careful here, Japan and China, that we saw a lot of similarities in.
Right, a lot of crossover.
And I know that, you know, a lot of Japanese mythology was touched on by Chinese.
Right.
You know, through that. But it wasn't like taking over. It wasn't like the Chinese were there and changed the name to the local.
Right.
I can't think of the first age of Japan. Yao. Not important. It's two words. Y-A-O, I think, is the first one.
Pull it up to be safe.
After that. But they were just barbarians and savages at that time. I think
it was Chimu Tino.
Okay.
Original name was Kao Yamato Iwari Hiko no Mikoto.
Okay.
And he set up the Yan.
I knew there was a Y in there. Give me some credit, right?
Mm-hmm. He did good. The Yayoi Yan.
Yes. Okay. Whew. Move that. I don't have much more to go in to with Roman mythology.
It was a lot to cover just with the gods themselves and the differences.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a lot of time to throw in all the extra, like, minotaurs and...
Yeah. But I do notice this, because technically we're in a Western country, this seems to have, I see a lot of direct effect.
Oh, yeah.
Especially to the earlier literature from this, like the Norse down through that, the Roman and the, well, our months are Roman gods.
Yeah.
Our days are Norse gods. You know, that's everything. Our planets are Roman gods.
Some of the months get weird too, like November.
I think the planets are Roman gods, and the constellations are Greek. Right?
Yeah, Orion the Hunter and Pegasus. And, yeah.
These Greek names for the constellation, Roman names for the planets and moons. You're a punk, Trey.
I know.
Don't do that. I don't. You know, I looking at all these and going through all these different mythology very, very briefly.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of running through them, giving ideas, themes more than anything else. A lot of this just really fits in so well to a fantasy TTRPG.
Yeah,
Whether
100%.
it's this one, whatever mythology we've covered. And I think for something compared to mythology, being TTRPG, I would say is a little more shallow, a little less deep, right? But a lot of them just click right in without having to change much.
Yeah.
You know? You can stick with the pantheon. I do like out of this, I like the idea of, even if I was doing TTRPG based off this, like this village you go to, they have their own patron, they have their own god that they worship.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the god that looks over this village.
I'm still hung on Janus. I think the idea of, you've come to a town that worships Janus and reveres Janus, all the doors are open.
Yeah. Also, there's a plane of existence that all you got to do is change who's running it.
Yeah.
And, and that from D&D.
Right.
Obviously, right. What is that? Plane of doors is?
Sigil.
Sigil, yes.
City of Doors, which is also the plane of transportation, which is a weird name for a plane, but it's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. It is correct.
Don't know. I maybe would have called it the plane of transport. Because specifically the plane of transportation feels weird.
No, it's the
plane where the cars are.
No, it's where the carriages are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The chariots. Carriages. Well, that's an interesting thing about doorways, though. Them having a god of a doorway. So it's like, I believe, I don't know if we mentioned, I don't think we did. When we're doing the Norse, like, you want to tick off a Viking when you stepped into his house.
Yeah.
You stepped on the
Door frame?
Not the door frame. What is that? The bottom of the door that they put in, there's a word for it. And I look so dumb right now. Every word is coming on my mind. It's not the one I'm looking for.
I will try and look it up.
I will find it.
Okay, I'll let you find this one.
Yeah. You talk.
I think when it comes down to it, Roman's really interesting to run because everything that I think about Roman, I think about from Greek.
Yes.
It's really hard for me to threshold.
Threshold. Thank you. Step on the threshold.
It's really hard for me to separate the two in my mind. And so, like, even when I'm talking about monsters, I first think of ones that I know from Greek mythology. And then I have to remind myself, but what are the ones that are only mentioned in Roman mythology? Like earlier, I wanted to reference Strife, which is one of my favorite demigods. I was like, no, that's Greek. That's not Roman.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, there's not a Roman equivalent of Strife. But
no, but even the government, like we set up with the Senate, that there wasn't. Of course, it changed, but the idea that that we have this group of people who are named from these different areas. They come together. They make the laws. They are enforced by they call it emperor. That's what it ended up being called.
Right.
When it became emperor, that was a problem, and stabby things started happening. Et tu, Brute? Well, they killed Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Brutus helped out.
I mean, I've seen the movie. They killed him because he wouldn't give them the right kind of cheese, right?
No. It was a friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Yeah. No, it's legitimately a really good story. It's very tragic.
Yeah.
It's great. I know I referenced the Monty Python skits, but
well, look, as the Roman Empire is put forth in the Monty Python Life of Brian, is very good. That's a documentary, by the way. What's the other one?
no, I'm not.
Oh, the scene where he got. That's not what it says. No, you're going to conjugate.
Yeah.
You're what? Pocket the yellow one now.
It's very good.
Oh! History of the World, Part 1.
Yeah. History of the World War I.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, it's Oedipus. What's up, mother? Anyway, I love greatest kinds in that.
No, it's
Yeah.
look. I am fully with you on that. That is incredible. Kings of comedy.
Yes.
Speaking of comedy, though,
Yeah.
where are we going next?
That's good. That's a good question. I am. it would seem redundant to do Greece at this point.
Right.
I'd like to skip a little while before we go into that.
I almost feel like when we do Greece, we should just talk about monsters because we've already covered the gods, right?
Yeah, I'll put the Pantheon up real quick and go through it and try to get more of the monsters that they face. I don't know.
There's still a lot of options.
There's so many, man. The world's kind of big.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it.
I mean, I don't know if chat has a preference. I'm waiting on the delay for chat to be able to have a preference.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling North American.
I think that would be cool. And you kind of want to go to the early tribes, right?
Yeah.
Through here. And a lot of crossover with a few of those too. But there's some good stuff for the Native American tribes.
I just really want to hear you talk about Jackal. I really like Jackal. Jackal's
not
a
the
great guy.
band. The band's terrible.
No, the guy.
Yeah. The stories. I always like, and I feel bad because I don't know the credit to. My brain first went, it was the Apache. No, and then my brain started arguing, no, it's Cherokee. Could be the Comanche, Pueblo, I don't know.
Could be the Sioux.
It might be. I don't think it's a Sioux.
I don't think so either, but
the stories of Coyote.
Yeah.
The trickster guy.
Yeah.
I really like some of those stories.
Yeah, Coyote's also really good.
Yeah.
Most of my knowledge of mythology, like my love for mythology, started because of gargoyles. So thanks again to gargoyles. But most of my knowledge of both Coyote and Jackal are North American, two different tribes with their stories, and they're so good. Coyote the trickster, Jackal the warrior, you know.
Yeah. It's like someone played. We got so much trusted there. If we start looking, if we dig down in Africa, that's massive.
Mm-hmm. I do still love to hear about you talk about Anansi. You and I talk about Anansi a lot. I'd be super happy to hear about Anansi again.
If we never get to that, just go look up the story of why children cry over nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great little story about the trickster god.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk about Shanto, the thunder god.
Yeah.
From Western Africa, and his battle axe, and he's got lightning.
And we haven't talked about Cuchulainn.
No,
and the Irish.
So
many good ones there.
Or Celtic, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because we got Celtic and Gaelic, yeah.
Okay. Let's do that, not that. We do have other, even through Europe.
Yeah.
And like we touched on Arthurian,
right?
Which is kind of a specialized part in the whole British mythology, and you've got that, in France and a few other places like that too.
Yeah.
Macedonian.
There's some
Greek.
I don't know if we'd be able to get a full episode out of it, but there's some really interesting old German myths. The soldier that catches death in a bag.
Yeah.
The tall man.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting, but again, I don't know that'd be a full episode. That might be like a catch-all, because a lot of those are European myths.
Right.
That just, this is the version that I know, but because I think Russia also has the soldier that puts death in a bag. But
tricks him, right? Tricks him into getting in the bag. Yeah.
And then regrets it big time. So what do you think, chat? We giving you some options. There's plenty more. There's somebody where we didn't even talk about. Oh, we got one vote for Irish.
Irish might be kind of cool through that. There's a lot of history for the Emerald Isle there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mythology there. I mean, talk about it's not St. Peter. Who was it? Drove the snakes out of Ireland.
Oh, St. Patrick.
St. Patrick.
Yeah.
I had the P right.
Yeah, St. Patrick.
St. Patrick.
Old St. Patty.
Which, there's something to that story, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's never been snakes in Ireland.
Right. That's because St. Patrick.
No. It's because St. Patrick drove out the serpents.
Yeah.
The snakes.
Yeah.
He's not talking about a creature of the problem.
Right. There's some versions that are also Irish. Okay, second vote for Irish.
Okay.
Some versions of that story where it's a full-on dragon. Some where it's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Like, there's... I love that story so much.
When the old painting... I love the old painting. That's not that old. It's a friar monk.
Yeah.
Western English monk with the...
Yep.
What is that? Tonfin haircut, whatever?
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, where he's got the bowl.
Yeah, got the bowl cut, and he's standing before in Loch Ness
Yeah.
on the beach, and he's commanding. What's the story? He's commanding Nessie, the Loch Ness monster, who's of course like, showing like not a brontosaurus, but the
Plesiosaurus.
Plesiosaurus. Yeah, do that. Coming out with sharp teeth, looks mad, but the monk manages with the power of God to send Nessie back,
Yeah.
so she doesn't bring harm to the local surrounding countryside.
Back into the depths of the loch.
Look at some of the old stories too. It's really interesting how the same story gets told again and again and again.
Yep.
Both in ancient times and modern. Like the story of forlorn lovers is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like, that's a thing that's just basically human nature.
Yeah.
You know, it's to see two people who love each other can't be together, but are willing to stay faithful to each other. That kind of story comes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think of the Polynesian one where the two mountains, or the Aztec one,
Yeah.
the two mountains of Mexico.
Well, there's also the Witch of the Westmoreland, from Ireland. The idea of, hey, she loved this knight, but she was a witch and he was a knight.
Yeah. See, and some of that, I think, is tied up into Arthurian tales.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that may have been added in later. It's like, oh, it was a knight, then he must have been at the round table. I bet it
Right.
was this one.
Yeah.
Right?
I am not upset at all if we talk about Coo. The wolves of Coo, the baying of the hounds of Coo.
Right.
Coo Calend.
Well, it's like with, see, I think with Gaelic, you've got the Great Hunt.
Yeah.
That story is everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
The Great Hunt across the sky. Mm-hmm. Right? But yeah, I know the one where, I think I know the Gaelic one where, it's,
Fionn MacCool.
I don't know.
Fionn MacCumail. Which is still said Fionn MacCool.
Yeah. Oh, look, except for the what was it, the Aztec names?
Yeah.
The Mayans names. More FGL.
Like it's working.
No, I'm an expert on mythology. I play Fate. Okay? I know what's going on.
All I'm saying is Cuchulainn is in Fate Stay Night. He's the first Lancer that you meet there, and he uses the Gabolk,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. And he should be given more screen time because he's the best.
Ooh, awesome. We got to talk about Shillelagh, don't we?
Yeah.
That's Irish, right?
Yeah, Shillelagh. Well, and Druids aren't exclusively Irish, but a lot of the Hermeticism that we have today was Irish.
Yeah, you go back to the Gaelic times, looking on the western side of England. Of course, Ireland's on the western side of England, but
Right.
it's not. There's water
Yeah.
in between them. So when you get
Just a little bit.
Wales and stuff, a lot of Gaelic stuff there.
Also, just to clarify for anybody who doesn't know, we'll probably talk about this again next week. Fionn MacCool and Cuchulainn are not the same people. They're not one country's version of another.
Right.
Just throw that out there.
Yeah.
It really bothers me when I see people go, yeah, Cuchulainn and Fionn MacCool, they're the same people, right?
No.
Like, no, they fight.
Yeah.
They're not the same people. Stop it. Oh, well, they're the same as King Arthur, right? No.
No.
They're three different people.
Well, that's like it's weird. There's a lot of when we get into like old fables and old stories. A lot of times they'll get picked up and they get kind of moved into.
Yeah.
Like Robin Hood's been all over.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Oh, yeah.
It's got down to, okay, we're around this time of Richard the Lionhearted and his brother John.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to put it. But the story goes back, I think like a couple hundred years before that time. Mm-hmm. Robin of Locksley did. I think Robin of Locksley is that Robin Hood.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Hood was before that.
Mm. I'm stoked.
Yeah, and the air conditioner's going, it has cooled off,
Yeah.
and I'm still sweating.
We need to stop so I can go home and lay on my bed and contemplate my life choices that led me to live in this place. But tomorrow we'll be painting some goats,
Yeah.
making the goats look good. Monday we'll be back with more Lotro. We're going to Mirkwood.
Yeah. And we had a couple things to do before that, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. They're blurring together for me. I've been through it 3 times
Yeah.
at least, I know.
Yeah, first we gotta go talk to Haldir and secure the route to Mirkwood. And
Yeah, and there'll be some stuff to get ready to go. Yeah, okay. No,
then
yeah.
it's Mirkwood time.
Yeah.
We'll have a podcast Tuesday. I know people still really seem to want us to talk about the FTC stuff, but it's just stuff you already know. They want to buy stuff. Of course they want to buy stuff. They're a company. It's a business.
Yeah.
So we'll see if there's any new developments before then, but I don't think there's going to be.
No, it seems to be in kind of a standstill right now.
Yeah. So we'll talk about some stuff Tuesday. And then you beat Beast Inside Wednesday.
Yeah, I've almost quit that. That was aggravating at the beginning of that podcast, yes.
But it's done now.
Yeah, it's done.
So we'll see what you wind up playing next week.
Yes.
And then next Thursday, we'll be covering some Irish mythology.
Yeah, we'll be talking about potatoes.
Yeah! If you've never heard it, you've probably heard all of the other versions of it. Your homework for this week and ready for next week is you need to go listen to an actual version of Loch Lomond. Because you've all heard, I'll take the high road, you take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland for you. But you don't know what that song's actually about. It's actually a really tragic love song. So
yeah. That's it.
Go check that out.
And they weren't what you mentioned, but there was two guys known as Burke and Hare. If you'd like to look into them a little bit, and that is the reason why God put water in the English between the Scottish and the Irish.
Yep.
I'm just gonna put that.
Had to happen.
Yeah.
Would have been a problem if it didn't.
They were great. Well, they started out as grave robbers.
Yeah.
And then they decided, why wait
Yep.
until people are dead and dig them up?
Why wait?
Yeah. We just catch them and kill them.
Also, just throw out one more song that you should check out, On Broken Rocks, by this artist named Rundgren. Really, really
Thank
good.
you.
So just, throwing that out there.
Good. I got one song. It's kind of weird to me. I'm very, very thankful. I've got thousands of hours, hundreds of views on my phone. That's just really, really awesome. But there's songs called Chips Away.
Oh, I love that song.
It's just a lot better now.
Chips Away.
Yeah. I thought it'd be good. It just kind of surprises me that song is like sticking out to some people.
It's a great song. It should. It made it into my top 10
Nice.
that I did, so.
Yes.
But we'll be back. We got good stuff coming. Hope you look forward to it. Really excited for tomorrow's video. I'll spoil what it is for you right now. It is somebody made. I did one for Guild Wars 2 a while back. Somebody made a GeoGuessr Guild Wars 2 deal where you can find yourself in, I know, different parts of GeoGuessr or different parts of Guild Wars 2 world and trying to figure out where you're at. Somebody made one for Final Fantasy 14.
Look, he's talking, okay? It's him.
I did a video on that, and hopefully this will inspire somebody to make one in Lotro, because I think that'd be really fun to see you do.
Okay.
But we shall see. But until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Roman.
We've been the Full Spectrum TTRPG podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. Roman mythology has to offer.